AUKUS, the new defense pact between Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, is pretty much only bad news for security in Europe, and it calls for reflection. AUKUS is the new defense pact between Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. And it got a lot of attention because it involved breaking a deal between Australia and France about purchasing submarines, and instead Australia is going for nuclear-powered submarines from the United States. This has angered France a lot, and they've made a big fuss about it, and they have recalled ambassadors and all kinds of things to demonstrate how angry they are about both the submarine part of AUKUS, but also about not being included. France sees itself as a great power in the Pacific, and it would have been natural to include France in a defense pact in the Pacific. From a tactical and operational point of view, AUKUS makes a lot of sense in the Indo-Pacific. I think we need to see this in connection with the tempo that there currently is in Chinese shipbuilding. If this keeps going into the 2030s, we may be facing a future where we're actually looking at a Chinese Navy that has the ability to dominate the Indo-Pacific. These nuclear-powered submarines, these attack submarines, are basically a sea denial kind of weapon. We see Russia betting big time on these same kinds of nuclear-powered attack submarines in the Atlantic. And basically that's what Australia will get now. They will get the capability to have these kinds of weapons that can challenge Chinese sea control in the Indo-Pacific, and that may be really important in the 2030s. AUKUS also involves giving Australia other kinds of weapons. For example, I have here a list of missiles that are included in the deal. So we see Australia is now going to get Tomahawk missiles, and there is a whole range of other missiles also included for both airborne and ground-based missile systems. So this is a big weapons package. And overall, AUKUS is a giant leap for Australia. They are being lifted into an exclusive group of countries that have these very long-range missiles, Tomahawk, these kinds of missiles, and now also nuclear-powered submarines. So from the operational point of view, it is understandable why both Australia and the United States would like to go this way. For Europe, this is a problematic development in several ways. First, the change to nuclear-powered submarines sets a precedent that may not be good. It raises all kinds of non-proliferation questions. The tradition has been that countries with this technology have been very reluctant to include new countries in the club. Nuclear-powered ships, nuclear-powered submarines are perhaps not directly a problem according to non-proliferation standards, but the knowledge, the know-how that goes with having and getting this kind of technology makes it possible to develop this into nuclear weapons at a certain point. And obviously, I don't think Australia is going to do that, but it sets a standard that means that other countries like Russia, China, could also do the same thing and say we're just exporting nuclear-powered submarines. And obviously, this is not good news for Europe because it may lead to more nuclear-capable countries further down the road. But even more important, we see that the European countries are now divided. Obviously, the United States is still incredibly important for security in Europe, but the two most important European countries are arguably France and the United Kingdom. And now France and the United Kingdom are on opposing sides in this conflict. The United Kingdom is in AUKUS, and France is very, very upset that they're not in AUKUS. And this may actually lead to other European nations having to choose sides, which obviously nobody wants. So if we take, for example, the Baltic Sea, there are, of course, the Baltic Sea coastal states, and we have important ones like Sweden and Germany and Poland. But the two most important European non-Baltic coastal states are the United Kingdom and France. And we talk a lot in the Baltic region about how we hope to keep the United Kingdom and France engaged in Baltic security issues. And then it's just detrimental for Baltic security if these two countries cannot agree on a common line, if we cannot trust that they can work together, if they don't want to participate in the same exercises, if they force the Baltic coastal states to pick sides. Who do you want to be with? Who do you want to invite for this exercise? When European nations talk about the American pivot to Asia, what they talk about is usually that this means two things for Europe. One, it means that Europe has to take more care of itself because the United States refocuses the assets toward the Pacific, the Indo-Pacific, and this means that to an increasing degree, the United States will have less focus on the Atlantic, and European states need to pay more to take a greater responsibility for the security in Europe. Right? So that's one argument. This is what the American pivot to Asia means. On the other side, we see also European countries arguing that we also need to be in the Indo-Pacific because it is crucial to our security in Europe that we are present where the United States is present, right? So if we want to do something with the United States in the future, we need to engage with those kinds of problems that the United States finds important. But what AUKUS has done is basically that it takes these two arguments and it plays them out against each other. Developments in the Indo-Pacific are actually turning European allies against each other. So because European nations are engaging in East Asia, we see that they are less aligned in Europe. And this is not the point of Europe engaging in East Asia. So European states now have to sit down and think very carefully about how to react to developments in the Indo-Pacific in ways that are good for European security and not counterproductive, so that the American pivot to Asia does not tear Europe apart. And on that slightly pessimistic note, I'm going to finish it up here. See you next time.